Good morning. Hello. How's everyone doing? Hey Cindy, long time no see in book club. How are you? Hey Tiffany, how are you? Hi Priscilla. How's everyone doing? I made it back to book club. Yay! Good morning, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are back. It's a new week. It's book club time. It's great. We have roll for slime tomorrow, you guys. It's a busy, busy week. Secret husband has to go into the office tomorrow, so I'll be all alone all day. Hey, Jen. Jen, did you see I put up the finale this morning? Work has temporarily stopped the dumb morning meetings. Yes! That's amazing. Great news all around. We'll be sweating in Texas preparing for a hurricane. Ooh, yeah. Do you follow John? Because he's been talking a lot about that hurricane. Ooh, oh, this is very full. Hold on, friends. Hold on. I gotta empty this. Sorry about that. Why won't you put back in? Okay, I got it back in. Everything is good. I haven't seen him check. Yeah, because he's been dealing with it a lot. I bet John is holding on tight. For real, though. For real. I talked to him last night and he said he's fine. Hey Anya, hey Naisa, hey Slav. How's everyone doing? Everyone good? Hey Brian. Everyone living up that summer life wherever you may be. I was always partying. Oh my gosh, it was so cute. You guys, this was the first time, like the first year because of her age, that Zoe recognized that this was her birthday party. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like we haven't had a party for her before, but like this was the first time. Hi Autumn. She's 4, you know what I mean? So like before this, even though we had birthday parties for her, you all know 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, they don't really understand it, but she understood that this was her birthday party. And it was so cute. Oh my gosh. She was so happy. She wanted to show us all the decorations. She wanted to show us, you know, what she was going to do when her friends got there. Oh my gosh, it was so cute. And then they got there and all the kids decorated their own cupcakes. We went to Cannon Beach and got sunburned. Oh, no good on the sunburn. I think I know where that is, actually, Jen. Still fun. It was so cute. So cute. And you know what the sweetest part was? So like, obviously I always take pictures at her birthday parties. We don't post the kids online, but like we have pictures for our like internal family share and stuff like that. And like I print them out and put them in the house and, you know, memory books and whatever. At one point she grabbed her mom. Oh my God, right. Brian, literally I'm in tears over Lindsay. I'm too far behind, but I don't care because I'm not missing it again. Yeah, right. It's all getting caught up on the thing. Yeah, I actually do know where that is, Jen. So at one point, Zoe grabs her mom and she said, Mommy, can you take a picture for us? And I was like, oh yeah, let's all get in a photo. So I tried to take a picture of me and my sister and Zoe. And Zoe goes, no, Mommy, take the picture. And we were a little confused. And Catherine, my sister, says to her daughter, she says, you want me to take a picture of just you and Aunt Sasha? And Zoe goes, yes. And so we took a picture, but it's the first time that she's like asked for a photo in that way. It was very cute. Very cute. Mommy, you take a picture of me and Aunt Sasha. Oh, okay. Harsh flow, kid. Way harsh, Ty. But it was very cute. We had a great time. Morning, Amanda. I don't know if I told you guys this, but there's actually 4 days in the beginning of August where I will not be able to do
book club, which really sucks, but the reason is I'm babysitting the kids for 4 days, and obviously we don't put the kids on camera, and there would be no way for me to watch them and keep them off camera unless I did it like super early in the morning before they woke up, maybe. But my sister and her husband are going out of town for a business thing, and Secret Husband and I will be watching the kids at their house for 4 days. Morning Avery, morning Roxy. So I don't know what I'll be able to do those days. I'll still be making videos and stuff and like posting and everything, and there'll still be slime and all that, but I have to watch the kids. So I just need to be careful, you know, because like I said, we don't put them on camera. Yeah, it's a good reason. It's a good reason to skip it. You know, I don't ever want to skip reading, but like, right? She's gonna be like, can you guys go away? That's terrible. It will be super fun for us to watch them. You never know when kids will run for the camera. Exactly. We just can't risk it. It's so funny. Zoe got a little mini guitar for her birthday, and my sister sent me a video yesterday, and it's Zoe just going like this with the guitar, and I was like, oh, my sister's just recording Zoe with the guitar, which is fine, except as the video ends, Zoe goes, okay, now can I see the video? I was like, oh my gosh, this little performer child. She was strumming, doing nothing else, just standing there like this. And then she goes, okay, can I see it now? Hilarious. And I was like, because I was confused. I was like, why is Catherine recording this? It's kind of boring. Like, she's not saying anything. And it was obvious that Zoe asked her to record it. Zoe also really likes to show us her outfits. She's a little fashionista. So sometimes she'll say, Mommy, can you send a picture to Aunt Sasha of this outfit? Oh, sure, honey. She also always says uncle and then says my husband's name as well. It's so funny, Amanda, because my sister doesn't put her on any. So like, where'd she even get the idea? As a parent with 3 with no local family, can I just say what you guys are doing may be fun for you, but it's such a gift. Oh yeah, I think my sister knows that. She tells me all the time how her friends who are moms are so jealous that she has us to just like drop her kids with kind of whenever she wants. Yeah, it's so funny, Amanda. You're totally right about that. They do absorb everything we do. But my sister tells me all the time that her friends are like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. We never get to do anything like just the two. Like the fact that my sister and her husband are getting to go away, just the two of them, and they know that their children are safe because they're with me, obviously. You know what I mean? I freaking love them like they're my own, so they're gonna be fine. But it is pretty funny how Zoe and my nephew is obsessed with my husband. Are they going to a fun city? They're going to an event in, you know, I don't know where it is. I'm not even gonna lie. I know they told me, but I don't remember, Amanda. I'm so sorry. I'll have to ask. It's a big convention where they're working, but I'm just not sure where it is. But they'll be gone for 4 days, and we will have 4 days of tiny humans. 4 days of tiny humans. Yes. We might take them to Disneyland on that Saturday to go to Pixar Fest. I think it's near you, actually, Amanda. That's why I was saying it. I think it's in the Midwest. You know, I can't remember. I feel like it's one of the M states right there, which I know doesn't mean much because there's so many of them. Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri. I don't know. Right, Anya? It does sound like a blast. We will be with them the last weekend of Pixar Fest, so I'm like, do we just try to sneak it in and get them into Pixar Fest that last weekend? Maybe. My nephew's still free because he's under 3, so we could just walk him in. He's free. But we would still have to pay for us. But might be worth it. You know what I mean? Go to Pixar Fest, have a little fun with the kiddos. Zoe loves it. Zoe loves going to Disneyland. Actually, so does Ethan. Ethan loves characters, to be honest. We took him when a bunch of the girls were here in, was it March or April that they were here, we took Ethan to character breakfast. He loved it, loved every second of it. He was like, oh, hey, Mickey, what's up, bro? It was very, a little 1-year-old just like, hey. It was very cute. Very, very cute. Anyway, so that is, do you think they have, I'm trash. Do you think they have Forky at Pixar Fest? That would be so cute. I bet Zoe would love seeing Forky if they had like the character of Forky out and about. I don't know which characters they have out, to be honest. It's a good question. It's a very good question. I don't know. We are on chapter 8, Avery. We are speeding through this faster than I expected, but we love it, so what can we do? You know what I mean? It's hard for me. Like, I've got like little shivers when I think about it all being over, but also like I'm excited to find out what happens, so it's a double-edged sword. Yes, Naisa just got all the books. If anyone didn't see in the book club chat, she posted her whole set. My set doesn't have the box because I bought them all like individually, unfortunately, but I have them too. There's a lot of books where I'm like, I have to have the physical copy like these, you know, just to, you know, feel close to it. I feel like this book is a love-hate relationship. I agree, Avery. I agree. It's like, it's a lot of ups and downs, you know what I mean? It's a lot of ups and downs. I totally agree with you. Yeah, I would totally recommend getting this. I also went out and put those sets in my cart. Yeah, it's nice if you love a series the way that we all love this series. It's nice to have it just like part of your collection. Amazon had the sets half off. Really? Oh man, that's cool. Yeah, it's like a reward. Exactly. All right, well, let's read it so that we can get going. I want to know what happens, but I don't want it to be over. I know. Please, you are preaching to the choir here. All right, chapter 8 is called, we knew this was coming, The Conference of Kings. $35 for all the Tale books. That's a really good deal, you guys. Wait, if anyone hasn't gotten the Tale, the series yet, because they're usually, wait, $35 for all these books or all the other books? Because wait, they're only $10 each, so $35 would actually be more than all 3 of them. But if it's for the other series, that would be cheaper because these are only $10 each. So it would actually be cheaper to buy them individually. In that case, $35 for Land of Stories. That's what I was saying. That's a good deal. $35 for all 6 books of Land of Stories. That's cheap. Only $18 for this series. Yeah. Oh yeah. Snatch them while they're on sale, you guys. Seriously, that's a really good deal. I wish I had done that. I bought them individually, so I paid full price, obviously. But worth it. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys, grab those books. Okay. We are now unfortunately going to read The Conference of Kings. Yeah, they're $10 each. Yeah, it says $9.99 right here on the back of the book. And apparently the person who made the cover's name is Sasha, which is ironic. Also $10, but if you have like the deals at certain bookstores, you can usually get them a little cheaper. But the deal on Amazon right now is the best one you're gonna get. So if it's 50% off, I would just grab them now if I were y'all. If I didn't have them, I would be doing it, but I obviously already own them all. Okay. I think this is gonna be a hard one, you guys, so we just gotta buckle in and we just gotta do it because this is the Conference of Kings, chapter 8. The conference was held in a large circular room at the top of the Institute's tallest building. From there, the guests had a magnificent view of the surrounding campus, the grand armory sphere spinning directly above them, and the endless ocean sparkling below. However, the beautiful view wasn't enough to ease the tension among the representatives. The marvel and majesty of the Alchemy Institute was no match for the guests' collective resentment towards the righteous emperor, and from the moment he arrived, Seven had been the center of their attention. It took the representatives every ounce of self-control not to tackle the emperor on the spot. I relate. Even the elderly Queen Industria looked like she was ready to throw a few punches. Go, girl. Go, I say. Bristol, Lucy, and the other representatives were seated at an enormous round table while their guests stood beside them. Dr. States had the 12th seat at the table, and the other alchemists stood in a tight group behind him. Before we begin, I want to thank you all for joining us today, Dr. States said. Lucy angrily slammed both hands on the table and glared at Seven. How could you invite this monster here? She shouted. He doesn't care about protecting the planet. He's planning to conquer the world with an army of dead soldiers. The room erupted in agreement, echoing Lucy's concerns. A snide smile grew across the righteous emperor's face as he watched the others objecting to his attendance. He leaned back in his chair and rested his feet on the table, enjoying every moment of this disruption. Dr. States raised a hand to silence the room. I understand your frustration, the alchemist said. However, the current crisis is much more important than any conflict between us. I trust you will all work out your differences in good time, but right now, we have to work together to save the only planet we have. The representatives sank in their chairs bitterly and went quiet. Now, are there any other concerns that we should address before we start? Dr. States asked. The ogre sheepishly raised his hand.
I have a question, he said. What am I doing here? I've never held office or sat on a throne in my life. I don't even own furniture.
You were the only ogre who agreed to come, the alchemist said. Sorry, you guys. It's amazing. This is an amazing writer. This is genius. Literally genius. The ogre shrugged.
Fair enough,
he said.
Please proceed.
Dr. States tapped his cane on the floor, and the drapes shut by themselves, shrouding the conference room in darkness. The alchemist nodded to Dr. Straight and rolled a map across the table. Once the map was exposed, a bright three-dimensional image of the world rose off the parchment. The image zoomed towards the Eastern Kingdom, and soon a miniature iron hand appeared on the table. The leaders were amazed by the magical diorama. For situations like this, it's best to start with the facts, Dr. States said. Once all the facts are presented, we can come up with probable conclusions to fill in the blanks or answer any remaining questions. And once we're all on the same page, we can pitch different resolutions to address the matters and then vote on which one is the best. The alchemist's plan seemed very reasonable, and the representatives nodded. Now, here are the facts, Dr. States began. Last night, at precisely 10 minutes past midnight, a fire started in the basement of the Copper Mugs and Sweets Tavern in Central Iron Hand. The fire spread rapidly through the city and continued into the eastern countryside. Over 100 square blocks and over 300 acres were destroyed in a matter of minutes. As Dr. States recited the facts, a fire moved through the diorama of Iron Hand, destroying everything in its path. Queen Industria shuddered at the reenactment. It was the greatest tragedy in my kingdom's history, she said. The fire was only 2 streets away from the Eastern Palace. If it had turned west and headed across the river, Princess Proxima and I would have been burned alive. The fire also moved quicker and burned hotter than any fire we've ever recorded, Dr. States continued. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a lit candle and 10 being a volcanic eruption, at this time, 10 being a volcanic eruption, the heat emitting from last night's fire was a 15. At this time, we're not certain of what or who caused the abnormal fire, but we do know that Xanthos Hayfield, a fairy with magical specialty for fire, was staying at the Copper Mugs and Sweets Tavern when the fire started. We also know the fire began in Mr. Hayfield's suite, and that the fire moved with him as he traveled through the city and fled into the countryside. It's also a fact that the fire stopped burning in Iron Hand as soon as Mr. Hayfield was gone.
Well, that settles it then, King Warfare said. The boy is clearly responsible.
No, it wasn't Xanthos' fault, Emerald exclaimed. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. The fire moved through the city because it was chasing him. It was not coming from his magic. But what else could have caused such a disaster? The troll chief asked. Once again, Dr. States raised his hand and the room went quiet. Please, I know this is a sensitive matter, but let me present all the facts before we jump to any conclusions, the alchemist said. While I'm not accusing Mr. Hayfield of anything just yet, it is worth mentioning that he has a history of losing control of his abilities.
2 years ago, he caused a massive wildfire in the northwestern hills of the Southern Kingdom, and that fire also traveled with his movements. It ended when Mr. Hayfield's late mentor, Madam Weatherberry, temporarily muted his magical abilities. Last night, for reasons unknown to us, the Iron Hand fire ended shortly before crossing the border to the Troll territory. And the last time Mr. Hayfield was seen, he was headed in that direction.
The representatives glanced at one another with grave concern. An unsettling feeling began to grow in the pit of Bristol's stomach. Convincing her peers of Xanthos' innocence was going to be more difficult than she had hoped.
Oh, where's the boy now?
King White asked.
We don't know, Dr. State said. No one has seen or heard from him since last night. Well, if he's innocent, then why is he hiding?
The Goblin Elder asked. Obviously, he's worried that people will blame him for the fire, Bristol said. Look, I understand the facts are against him, but I know Xanthos. He would never do something like this, and he hasn't lost control of his abilities in years.
His intentions are beside the point, Dr. State said. Whether deliberate or not, the fire has happened. This conference is about ensuring it doesn't happen again.
Well, personally, I don't see any other logical explanation, King Elvin said, especially if the boy has a history of causing damage. It's far too big of a coincidence.
I'm afraid I have to agree, Mr. Slate said.
Papa, Emerald gasped.
I'm sorry, Em, her father said. If your friend didn't cause the fire, then what did?
The fairies and the witches looked around, desperate to come up with an explanation that contradicted the evidence, but none came to mind. And then Bristol's gaze drifted towards Seven's spiteful smile, and that gave her an idea. We don't know, but let me present some facts, she told the room. There are many people in this world who hate the Fairy Council. In fact, there are people in this room who are determined to destroy everything we stand for. So it isn't a far stretch to think that the enemy would want to hurt one of us. And if someone was planning on attacking Ironhand with a new type of fire, Xanthos would be the perfect person to frame. If you ask me, the fire seems suspiciously coincidental. It could have been in the works for months, maybe even years. The representatives scratched their head as they considered Bristol's theory. Although convincing, she could tell it wasn't enough to persuade them, and Dr. States cleared his throat to get the room's attention.
The fairy godmother has presented her conclusion. Now let me present ours, the alchemist said. Given the information, my colleagues and I believe that Mr. Hayfield's abilities have evolved beyond his control. Fortunately, he was able to extinguish the fire before it crossed into the troll territory, but we may not be so lucky next time. We fear that Mr. Hayfield may cause another fire, possibly even stronger than the one last night, and if he creates a fire that cannot be stopped, the world will most certainly perish.
The magical diorama zoomed out to show the entire planet. The representatives were horrified as a powerful fire burned through the continent and obliterated all the kingdoms and territories. The atmosphere filled with smoke, turning the sky black and the oceans gray. Nothing could survive a disaster like that.
Well, we have to find the boy at once,
King White exclaimed.
He must be stopped by any means necessary,
Queen Industria said. Wait! Bristol pleaded. I agree. We have to do everything in our power to prevent another disaster, but we still aren't positive that Xanthos caused the fire. We need to collect more evidence before we make any decisions. The other representatives groaned and scoffed at her remarks.
What more do you need?
The Goblin Elder asked.
The facts really do speak for themselves,
the King Elvin said.
We have to act before he destroys us all,
the Troll Chief said. Bristol wasn't ready to give up, but she didn't know what else to say.
Respectfully, Fairy Godmother, it's important for you to separate yourself from the situation, Dr. State said. The world's greatest threat has never been famine or disease or disaster, but the ignorance that fails to prevent those conditions. For far too long, the truth has been at war with people who are too stubborn to accept it. Think of all the pain and suffering we could stop if everyone valued facts over feelings. Think of all the pain and suffering you would have been spared from.
That comment made Bristol speechless. She thought about what it would have been like to grow up in a society that oppressed women and hated the magical community. Bristol couldn't imagine the sorrow and heartache she might have avoided if the people in power had prioritized finding the truth instead of spreading lies.
to validate their prejudices. And now Bristol was doing the exact same thing. She was willing to ignore all the evidence to protect something she treasured. If she didn't at least listen to what the facts were saying, was she any better than the justices in the Southern Kingdom or the clansmen of the Righteous Brotherhood?
It's a little too much right now, Chris. It's a little too much right now.
All right, she said. For argument's sake, let's say that Xanthos accidentally caused the fire. How do we stop him from starting another one? What sort of resolution do you recommend? The representative sat in silence and avoided making eye contact with Bristol. She could tell they all... Lucy shouted. You think killing fairies is the answer to everything? Emerald yelled.
Am I wrong? Seven asked the room. You said it yourself, Dr. States. Xanthos can't control his abilities. Doesn't matter how many times they're muted or controlled. Xanthos can't control his abilities. Doesn't matter how many times they're muted or controlled. History keeps repeating itself. Therefore, as long as he's alive, the world will be in danger.
The fairies and the witches rolled their eyes at that preposterous statement. However, none of the other representatives objected with him. In fact, the kings in the conference looked at one another and slowly started nodding.
It pains me greatly to say this, but the righteous emperor is correct,
King White said. Your Majesty, Bristol exclaimed. You aren't serious.
Forgive me, Fairy Godmother, King White said. The Northern Kingdom will always be profoundly grateful to you and the Fairy Council for saving us from the Snow Queen, but I can't in good conscience stand by and allow this kind of threat to surface again. There's no question in my mind. Ending one life to save every other life on Earth is a sacrifice we must make.
I couldn't agree more, Queen Industria said. Our people are depending on us to act. We must do whatever's necessary to protect them.
Hear, hear, King
Warsworth said. Well, let's put it to a vote, Dr. States said. All in favor of eliminating Xanthos Hayfield to ensure the planet's survival, say aye.
Aye, King White said. Aye,
King Warsworth said.
Aye, King Elvin said. Definitely aye, Seven said with a wicked grin.
Aye,
the Goblin Elder said. Aye, the Troll Chief said. Aye, the Ogre said.
Yeah, well, I say nay, Lucy exclaimed. Heckin' nay. Queen Industria looked over her shoulder to Princess Proxima. Well, what will it be, dear? She asked. Grandmother, you want me to cast the vote? The princess asked. I'm on borrowed time as it is, Queen Industria said. You'll be sitting on the throne sooner than either of us would like to admit. I won't have to live with today's decision. You will, so the choice is yours. The princess was taken aback by the unexpected responsibility. Well then, I vote aye, she said. We can't let our people relive the horrors of last night. Mr. Slate sighed and sadly shook his head. I'm so sorry, Em, but I don't see any other choice, the dwarf said. Aye. My condolences, ladies, Dr. States told the fairies and the witches. The ayes do have it. Looking around the table, Bristol was reminded of her battle with the Snow Queen, and not just because King White was there. The representative's consensus was the new monster she had to defeat. Now we must discuss the method of elimination, Dr. States told the room. The alchemists and I are prepared to find the boy and carry out the execution. I will personally lead the team to complete the task. I prefer to use the quickest and most humane method possible. In my opinion, it's necessary to make a painful situation less painful by... Bristol's eyes darted around the conference room and she desperately tried to think of anything that would change the outcome. Fortunately, an idea did come to her and she couldn't believe what she was about to say out loud. Wait! Bristol interrupted, and the room went silent. We don't have to kill him. There's another way. We can prevent Xanthos from starting another fire ever again. The representatives and the alchemists were confused. Even the fairies and the witches were eager to hear what Bristol was thinking. And how do you propose we do that? Dr. States asked, and Bristol took a deep breath. It was now or never. By using the Book of Sorcery, she said.
What is the Book of Sorcery?
King Warsworth asked. It's the most powerful spell book ever created, Bristol said. According to legend, the book contains a spell that can render someone powerless. If your theory is correct and Xanthos is the source of the fire, well, then we can use the book to strip him of all his magical abilities. And if my theory is correct and Xanthos isn't responsible, we could use the book to defeat whatever is causing the fire. The representatives had never heard of such a book before. They all turned to the alchemists and waited for them to confirm its existence. However, the scientists only seemed tickled by Bristol's suggestion, like they were trying not to laugh at her.
Fairy godmother, I'm afraid the Book of Sorcery is just a legend, Dr. Stagg said. In all my years of studying history, I've come across many myths written about it, but no evidence to prove it exists.
Actually, the Book of Sorcery does exist, Dr. States said. Unlike his colleagues, Dr. States looked anything but amused. The alchemist stared at Bristol with a gravely serious scowl, as if she had just revealed something she wasn't supposed to know.
Sir, are you certain? Dr. Storm asked.
It's as real as the nose on my face, Dr. States said. The confirmation bewildered the other alchemists. Why have you never told us about this before? Dr. Steam asked. Because too many talented alchemists have lost their lives trying to find it, Dr. States said. The book contains the most powerful spells in the world that is ever known. And yes, the fairy godmother is correct. The Book of Sorcery holds a spell to render someone powerless, but retrieving the book is impossible. It's a suicide mission for anyone who would ever attempt it.
Respectfully, Dr. States, I eat the impossible for breakfast, Bristol said.
The comment made the fairies and the witches whistle and snap. The representatives and the alchemists were rather surprised to hear such a bold remark coming from the fairy godmother, and Dr. States seemed intrigued by Bristol's confidence. My dear, are you aware of what retrieving the Book of Sorcery entails? He pressed. Do you know where it's located and what horrors are waiting inside? Bristol nodded. I know it's in the Temple of Knowledge, and the temple is guarded by a tribe of unlikely warriors, she said. I know also that once you're inside the temple, you're physically, mentally, and emotionally challenged, and you must pass those challenges. And if you make it past the challenges before you can enter the vault the Book of Sorcery is located in, you must come face to face with the deadliest and most dangerous creature ever on the earth. The mood of the conference became very tense. The representatives broke out in a nervous murmur, each one speculating on what that creature might be.
That doesn't seem so bad, the ogre said. What's the most dangerous creature to ever grace the earth? A bear? A lion? A wolf? One of those snakes that lives in the toilet?
All the alchemists turned to Dr. Stagg with a curiosity. If anyone knew the answer, it would be the zoologist.
A dragon, Dr. Stagg said with a gulp. Yeah, dragons are the most violent and destructive species ever to live. They've been extinct for thousands of years, and although we have the capability of bringing one back to life, no zoologist in his right mind would ever dream of it. Dragons are capable of catastrophic damage. In fact, the last time the Conference of Kings was held, our ancestors decided to exterminate dragons to save the planet.
The whole room shuddered at the thought of such a ferocious creature. And the fairy godmother wants to face a dragon to save her friend, King Elvin said. Bristol locked eyes with the fairies and the witches. They all knew she had more than one reason for wanting the Book of Sorcery. It was their only hope of destroying the army of the dead also. Xanthos would do the same for me, Bristol said, but I still don't know how to find the temple. We've been to every corner of the globe, but I've never seen anything like it, so I was hoping Dr. Straight might point me in the right direction. The request caught Dr. Straight off guard. I'm sorry, she said. I've never heard of the temple until now, and I've never seen it on any maps. That's because you won't find it on any maps, Dr. States said. The temple's location is concealed by powerful sorcery, and although I've never seen it myself, I do know how to find it. The fairies and the witches' posture rose with their spirits. Oh, please, Dr. Straits, you have to tell us, Esmeralda pleaded. We are begging you, Tangerina cried. The alchemist hesitated as he weighed the pros and the cons. Are you sure you want to do this? He asked. I'm positive, Bristol said. If there's even a chance that the Book of Sorcery can help me save Xanthos' life, then I have to find it. Give me a week to travel to the temple and retrieve the book, and if I'm not back by then, you can carry out the extermination plan. Dr. States squinted at Bristol as he rubbed his chin. In consideration. Fine, he said. If you retrieve the Book of Sorcery and strip Mr. Hayfield of his magical abilities, we will spare his life. However, we cannot wait a week and risk the possibility of him starting another fire. We must proceed with the elimination as planned and hope that you find the book before we find him. Is that clear? Bristol felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. She didn't think the pressure of finding the Book of Sorcery could be any greater than it already was. But what choice did she have? I understand, she said.
The righteous emperor was growing more uptight by the second. Obviously, the Book of Sorcery was the book that she had been searching for in the Chariot Hills library, but that was days before the Iron Hand fires. Regardless of what she was telling the alchemist, he knew that Bristol had more plans for the book than she was letting on. He could smell her desperation.
This is absurd, Severn proclaimed. We can't trust her with the Book of Sorcery. If she survives the journey, who knows what she might do with it?
Yeah, we certainly know what you would do with it, Lucy snapped.
The righteous emperor and the fat witch both have a point, the troll chief said. I trust the fairy godmother, but what if the book falls into the wrong hands? No one should have that kind of power. I agree with the troll chief, the goblin elder said. If the fairy godmother finds the Book of Sorcery, after she uses the spell on her friend, the book should be kept somewhere safe. We'll be happy to keep the book here with us, Dr. States said.
And how can we trust you? Seven sneered.
As this institute proves, alchemists can be trusted with many things that the rest of the world isn't ready to handle, Dr. States said. You all have my word the Book of Sorcery will be kept safe and faithfully looked after.
Seven fumed, still unsatisfied. But, he continued, there's nothing stopping the fairy godmother from using the Book of Sorcery before the spell on her friend.
Perhaps we can send someone to supervise the fairy godmother, Dr. States suggested.
The righteous emperor went quiet as he considered. The more he thought about it, the more sinister the grin across his face became. Yeah, that's exactly what we should do, Seven said. Each of us should send a delegate with the fairy godmother to make sure she keeps her word. The fairies and the witches groaned at this proposal. Yeah, why not just put a bell around a neck while you're at it, Lucy said.
It's not entirely unreasonable, Dr. States said. Fairy godmother, do you have any objection to be accompanied by delegates?
Naturally, Bristol had many objections to traveling with chaperones, but she would do anything to get her hands on the Book of Sorcery, and she would never get there without Dr. State's help. Yeah, no, I don't mind at all, she glared at Seven. In fact, I welcome the company. I'm going to need all the help I can get.
Very well, Dr. States said. If they wish, each king may appoint a delegate to travel with the fairy godmother to the Temple of Knowledge.
The representatives spoke privately with their guests and determined who should join on the mission. Bristol and Lucy pulled the fairies and the witches into a tight huddle. Bristol, are you sure you're up for this? Emerald asked. Shouldn't you send one of us to the temple so you can keep looking for the immortal? Of course not, Bristol said. The temple is dangerous and I have less than 2 weeks to live anyway. If I don't return by then, you can send someone else to my place. But if I don't get to the Book of Sorcery, hopefully I can make it to the temple to be safer for anyone who replaces me. In the meantime, the rest of you need to search for Xanthos. We need to track him down and keep him somewhere safe so the alchemists won't find him. The fairies and the witches nodded. Who's going to be the witches' delegate? Tandrina asked.
I'm obviously the best choice,
Stitches said. No, I'm the best choice, Sprout said. Are you two crazy? Lucy looked at them. You're both flammable. I'm not sending you into a temple with a fire-breathing dragon. I'll go. Lucy, no, Bristol said. I cannot let you do this. It is too dangerous. I can't let you go and face a dragon alone, Lucy said. Besides, it's not your decision. The Witch King has spoken. Bristol sighed and shook her head, but she knew there was no arguing with her. Thanks, Lucy, she said. I'm really going to owe you one if we survive this. Lucy smiled. Yeah, I'll add it to your tab, she said. After several minutes of deliberating, all the representatives made their decision. I trust you've all made wise choices, Dr. States said. Which witch has the Witch King selected? Yeah, I'll be representing the witches, Lucy said. Very well, Dr. States said. And King of the North? The Northern Kingdom will be sending Sir Rain, King White said, and nodded to the knight standing beside him. 2 years ago, he was instrumental in helping me battle the Snow Queen. If anyone can face a dragon and live to tell the tale, it's him. King of the East? The Eastern Kingdom will be sending Sir Hammer, Princess Proxima said, and turned to the guard beside her. He's been protecting me and my grandmother for my entire life, and I would trust him with the Book of Sorcery more than anyone else in the world. King of the West? The Western Kingdom will be sending Sir Timber, King Wordsworth said, and gestured to the soldier at his side. He is as sharp as he is brave and will easily outsmart or outfight whatever the temple has in store. King of the South? The righteous emperor nodded to the tall skeleton guarding him. Him, whoever he was. King of the Trolls? The Troll Territory will be sending Butternut, the troll chief said and slapped the back of the troll next to him. Although small and smelly, Butternut is fierce and most loyal protector I've ever had.
King of the Goblins. The Goblin territory will be sending Gobzella, the Goblin elder said, and pointed to his female companion. She's the strongest and loudest warrior the Goblins have ever known. I'm confident she will return even if the others don't.
It is an honor to serve,
Gobzella yelled, and everyone in the room covered their ears. King of the Dwarfs. The dwarf territory will send Spanky the Miner. Dr. Slate patted the shoulder of the dwarf standing next to him. Don't let his height fool you. Spanky is masterful with a pickaxe. The dragon won't see him coming. King of the Ogres.
If it's all the same to you, I think I'm going to sit out this mission, he said. I can barely fit in the carriage. I'll probably just get in the way.
Fine by me, Dr. State said. And finally, who will the King of the Elves be sending? The elf territory will be sending Prince Elron, King Elvin announced, and then shot his son a very stern look. Do not disappoint me. Prince Elron gulped. I won't, Father. The others were surprised the Elf King had selected his own son, but no one looked more surprised than the prince himself. Very well, Dr. State said. The delegates will leave for the Temple of Knowledge at once, and in the meantime, the alchemist and I will start searching for Mr. Hayfield. The alchemist tapped the table with his cane like a judge with a gavel. The Conference of Kings is adjourned, he declared. Bristol closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Hang on, Xanthos, she whispered to herself. Help is on the way. Why are you sending your own damn son? That is super weird. It's super weird. Well. That was an emotional roller coaster. I knew it wasn't going to go well, but it did go better than I expected, sort of. Not entirely. Mediumly better? A little better? A little better than expected? I was not a fan of that chapter. I mean, it wasn't as bad as I thought. He's not immediately being put to death. Yeah, I mean, nervous is a correct emotion. How long do we think the next chapter is? Oh, the next chapter is really short. We could probably zoom through it. You guys want to do one more really quickly? It's not that many pages. We could. It's only 906. Probably get through it. Chapter 9 is called Watch Your Step. Xanthos? Xanthos! Xanthos was hoping it had all been a bad dream. While he slept, he was haunted by the images of burning buildings, the sounds of people screaming, and the smell of scorched earth. Unfortunately, when Xanthos' eyes fluttered open, the nightmare awoke with him. At first, Xanthos didn't know where he was. He was exhausted, his head was throbbing, and his whole body ached as if he had run a marathon. He quickly sat up and looked around to get his whereabouts. He'd been sleeping on a pile of hay on the top of an old windmill. He got to his feet and glanced out the nearest window. The windmill was in the middle of a field surrounded by a tall forest. Although which forest, he couldn't tell. It was evening and the sun was starting to set in the distance. Xanthos checked his body and he saw that he was still wearing his civilian disguise from the Eastern Kingdom, and although he was singed and covered in ash, strangely, he was also wearing a crystal medal with a red ribbon around his neck. After one glance at the medal, all the memories of the long night and the early morning came rushing back. Xanthos, are you there? Xanthos jumped at the sound of the voice. He thought it had been a part of his dream, but it was coming from somewhere in the windmill below him. Xanthos cautiously climbed down the ladder and inspected the lower floors. Each level was completely empty except for cobwebs and rusty gears. Xanthos, if you can hear me, give a sign, the voice insisted. He's definitely not in there, another said. This windmill is empty as a politician's promises. Ha ha! Oh, sorry. Nope, wrong voice. Oh, this windmill is empty as a politician's promises. Hoo-hoo! Laughed a third. We should move on, suggested a fourth voice. According to the map, it looks like he's here, and there's a barn about a mile away. Maybe he's there? No, wait, the first voice insisted. I have a good feeling about this place. That could be gas, the second voice said. Xanthos eventually made it to the ground floor. The first level of the windmill housed a small living area, but beside a table and a few chairs, there was just as vacant as the other floors. However, something strange caught Xanthos' eye. In the corner of the room was a full-length mirror, but instead of seeing his own reflection, he saw a friend. Skylene? He asked in shock. Oh, Xanthos, thank goodness you're all right, she exclaimed, and then looked over her shoulder. See, I told you I had a good feeling. It wasn't just gas. In the mirror, Skylene was joined by the reflections of Mrs. V, Pip, and BB. Beyond them, Xanthos could see the glass furniture of Bristol's office. He rubbed his aching temples and worried that he might be hallucinating.
How am I seeing you guys right now?
Xanthos asked. We're using magic in the mirror, BB said. Isn't it neat? Pip said. It allows us to see the mirror into the other world.
How did you find me?
Xanthos asked. We've been following your star on the map of magic all day, but then earlier this afternoon, it just disappeared, Skylene said. That's when Mrs. V recommended we use the mirror to find you, so we started peeking into all the cottages and shops nearby where you vanished.
Xanthos scratched his head. You've been looking into people's homes? Isn't that like a violation of their privacy?
The fairies and the witches looked at one another with guilty eyes. You don't want to know what we've seen, BB said.
Mrs. V, have you always had a magic mirror?
Xanthos asked. Oh, I forgot to have one in storage, Mrs. V said with a shrug. When I was younger, I was madly in love with a traveling salesman. Unfortunately, had a reputation for being quite a ladies' man. So I got the magic mirror to spy on him when he was on the road.
And, what happened? Was he unfaithful?
Xanthos asked. I don't know. I had an affair and I forgot all about it. The housekeeper chuckled, but that's another story for another time. I'm so glad to see you're all right, sweetheart. Xanthos climbed off the ladder and crawled closer to his friend's reflection, but peculiarly, he never let his feet touch the floor. He hopped from chair to chair and stool to stool and then knelt on the desk in front of the mirror. Well, why are you climbing across the furniture? Pip asked. Are there mice there?
No, I just can't let my feet touch the ground. That's when it starts, he explained.
That's when what starts? Skylene asked.
The fire, Xanthos exclaimed. But it isn't coming from me. Look, I can prove it.
He held up the crystal medal around his neck and Skylene instantly recognized it. Oh, you're wearing your lunar medal, she said.
That's how I know the fire isn't coming from me, he said. I've been wearing the medal since this afternoon, but the fire still appears whenever I make contact with the ground.
The fairies and the witches were absolutely baffled. They had so many questions they didn't know what to ask first. Wait, Xanthos, start from the beginning, Skylene said. Em told us what she saw last night, but we want to hear it from you. Xanthos took a deep breath and shook his head, still trying to process it all himself.
Okay. I was sleeping in my room at the tavern when suddenly I woke up and I found my entire suite was on fire, he recalled. I tried to put it out with magic, but the flames wouldn't stop. Em and I alerted the rest of the tavern and got the guests to safety, but by the time we were outside, the fire was spreading everywhere. It even chased us into the street, so we ran, but the fire followed us. We crossed the eastern river and the flames moved across the surface of the water. I've never seen fire do that before. I didn't know what else to do, so I just kept running. I ran for miles and miles across the countryside, but the fire never slowed down. Eventually, it caught up with me and it completely surrounded me, so I climbed a tree to escape it, and as soon as I reached the very top, I looked down and saw the fire had disappeared.
Well, holy smokes, Mrs. V said. No pun intended.
I stayed in that tree for hours, Xanthos went on. When I climbed down and put my feet on the ground, the flames returned almost instantly. For whatever reason, whenever I make physical contact with the ground, the fire reappears. At that point, I was still terrified that I was the one causing it, and I needed to stop my magic until I figured out what was happening. So I traveled to the northern kingdom, leaping from stone to stone and log to log, went to the mountain where we battled the Snow Queen, and I found the sinkhole where Squidella was buried and retrieved my muter medal from her skeleton. But even with the muter medal around my neck, the fire still comes back whenever my feet touch the ground. No, I'm positive the fire isn't coming from me. How could I create it without magic?
The fairies and the witches were amazed by Xanthos' story, and it took them a moment to gather their thoughts. So that's why you disappeared from the map of magic, Pip said. The medal muted your magic and your location.
But Xanthos, you said you were sleeping when the fire started, Skylene said. Surely your feet weren't on the ground then. No, but my room was in the basement, Xanthos said. Whatever it is, it must have found me when I was underground, and it's been following me ever since.
But if it isn't coming from you, what's causing it? Pip asked.
I have no idea, Xanthos said, but I'm not leaving this windmill until we stop it.
Okay, well, we've got to tell Bristol and Lucy, Skylene said. They need to share this with the Conference of Kings before it's too late.
Xanthos scratched his forehead. What's the Conference of Kings?
The Conference of Kings is a council of elites, BB blurted out. They think you started the fire and they're afraid you will destroy the world. They're deciding your fate as we speak.
What? Xanthos yelled in terror. What do you mean they're deciding my fate? Am I in some sort of danger?
The fairies and the witches shared anxious glances. Well, Well, I really suppose that depends on how the conference goes, Skylene said sheepishly. Hopefully Bristol and Lucy will convince the other representatives that you're innocent and you aren't going to destroy the planet. But if they don't, you'll be hunted down like a sheep in the wolf den, Phoebe declared. Xanthos hadn't thought the situation could get any worse, but after this, his skin went pale and his whole body went numb. He jumped to his feet and started frantically pacing across the desk, plotting his next move.
I can't believe this is happening to me. And then he let out a loud laugh. They're gonna kill me. I have to go into hiding until I can prove I'm innocent.
Xanthos, let's not get carried away, Skylene said. So what if people think that you single-handedly caused the biggest disaster in world history? Life happens. We know you're innocent, and that's all that matters. She gave him a sweet smile, and as if their trust solved everything. Xanthos ignored the comment and continued plotting.
I'm sorry, girls, but no one can know where I am, or where I'm headed. Not even you, he said.
Xanthos picked up the chair beside the desk and raised it over his head. Wait! Skylene pleaded. Xanthos, don't do this. We can help you. Xanthos slammed the chair into the mirror. The glass shattered and the fairies and witches disappeared from sight. Xanthos knew he had to get as far away from the windmill as possible. It wouldn't be long until his friends would come to find him in person. Without time to come up with a better option, Xanthos removed some rusty chains from the windmill's large gears and tied a stool to each of his feet. It's kind of smart. The makeshift stilts made him wobble as he walked, but they allowed him to move without touching the ground. Taking one small step at a time, Xanthos headed outside and journeyed into the forest, searching for a place where no one, not even that fire, could find him.
Well, damn. I don't even know what to say. Don't even know what to say. What I do know is that was wild times. I gotta go because I do have to get to work. Is he going to Madam Weatherbraid? That would be a smart idea, Avery. The book's gonna give me a heart attack. I know. We need something for him. We need to rein him in a little. I don't know if I will be on live later, but if I do, it'll be around 2 or 3 p.m. All the rest of the grab bags and, no, sorry, not the grab bags. Those already went on Friday. The Sparkle Pop Slimes of the month are going to the post office this morning. So if you're one of those people, you should expect your slime soon. Tomorrow night, we have Roll for Slime. So if you're owed a Roll for Slime and you haven't signed up for a spot yet, go ahead and do that. What else? I'm about halfway done making all the pre-order slimes, so those will start going out soon. I'll probably finish making those within the next 2 days, as long as I'm missing one bead. As long as those arrive, everything should be done in the next couple of days, and then we'll start rolling those out. And pre-orders end, I believe people requested me to leave it open until the 11th, so that's Thursday. I can't think of anything else. Is there anything else that I need to talk about? I don't think so. Oh, Thursday we also have class. We have thick and glossy making class. Maybe a bubble too. A bubble? What does that mean? A bubble? A bubble? I need to get on pre-orders. You have a couple of days on you. You have a couple of days. No stress. No stress at all. To protect us. Yes, a bubble to protect us. Yes, I agree. If we could have a slime bubble to protect us, that would be phenomenal from everything that's going on, both in our world and in the Tales world. All right, well, I love you all, and I will see you either later this afternoon or tomorrow morning. If my beads arrive that I'm waiting on, or the scent for Joy, I will come on and make slime tonight. I'm waiting for 1 scent for Joy. I'm waiting for some of the, I have half my frog spawn beads for memory. And then waiting on the scent for embarrassment. But almost everything else is made. I need to make those 3, and then I have to assemble the sarcasm, of course, but those get assembled, like those are just in pieces. I have my daughter's surgery, lets me at least watch. Oh no, when's your daughter's surgery? Ugh, that's not fun. That doesn't sound good at all. No good. No good. But we should be pretty good Thursday. Oh, okay. Well, it'll be recorded either way. That Thursday's recorded, so you can always watch that anytime. That's no problem. It's available in perpetuity. Okay, so I will see you all later, and have a great day until then. Tonsils. Oh, at least it's a routine thing. That's not so bad. That's not so bad. Tonsils aren't that bad. I mean, I didn't have it, but I know a lot of people who did. So that's a pretty routine, normal thing. It's not like a serious, like issue kind of thing. That's pretty, I think they do like 1 million of those a day. So that's no big deal. Okay. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.